It begins with our mission and values, a culture of innovation and collaboration, achieving a global perspective beyond the classroom, turning education and theory into practice, developing lifelong interests and connections, and striving to make a difference in our communities. Marist College.
And welcome back to the EGC. I mean, Ocean. We just had EGF. Sorry, EGFCD ABCY. We all know what we're talking about here. Anyway, week 10. We do have ourselves another matchup. We just came off the 3-0 sweep for Quinnipiac, and now we have Canisius versus Marist. And Canisius, is that?
It's Canisius.
Canisius.
What do you mean that's not Canisius? I've been pronouncing it wrong all season.
Canisius. Okay, Canisius.
Yeah, they can't see us. We're on camera, man.
Well, there we go. We got it. Now, Canisius versus Marist. Okay. What a shambles start, but that doesn't mean we're not going to have a good one here. And I'm thinking trap game. Trap game, because we do have two teams, opposite ends of the standings. That does, both, doom and gloom for one side. But Ocean, I do think that a trap game is possible here. Your thoughts?
Marist are 7-1. Canisius are 1-6. Yes, I'm going with it. TTL in the back line, our producer. Trying to keep us up to date with pronunciations, but I've got an accent in it. Canisius, or it's a silly name, right? It's their own fault.
Let you slide on that one with the accent, yeah.
Yeah, it works, all right. Marist were really good last week. They actually beat Quinnipiac really convincingly last week, and of course we just saw Quinnipiac take a 3-0 win over Fairfield. I think Marist are strong favourites for this one. I expect them to win this one convincingly. And I kind of want them to. I want them to kind of prove that they're top of the table team. They did so last week. They were very good. They were very proactive. They played a very fast tempo. I'm expecting more of the same this week.
Yeah, I think, most are looking at Marist as, the overwhelming favorite in this. And, rightfully so. They've been playing at a top-notch level. You look at Taze, one of the better main tanks we have in the whole of EGC. Yes. Why am I messing this up all of a sudden? EGF. Anyway, one of the better tanks we have there. And then, we look on the other side. Rough season so far. So they have a chance here to, kind of show what they can do against one of our top-tier teams. Both teams meeting in the middle now. Obviously going to be feeling out the fight here. As Flick finds the first pick onto Ohm. Now Cloud going to be trading back on Nathaniel. And Cloud still, ramping up on the laser, getting it done. Traders going to be trading out onto Special K. Looking like a little bit of a back and forth. They're still trying to figure out who's going to take the fight, as it does look like Marist is going to be the first one to touch, but that doesn't mean the fight's over. As the Doom finds a punch onto Melly, it is going to be all kinds of chaos, especially with Doom in the back line. Going to be looking for the top rope punch here, and it is going to find Ryan. And Face Mist is just going nuts right now on Doomfist.
Strong start. Clyde as well, as a player we highlighted last week, was playing a lot of these zoning DPS like the Cassidy and like the Symmetra. I'm kind of watching out for them. Tangs and Thunderkit as well, two players. Just watch for them individually. The main tank and main support of Marist were in the lineup consistently last week. They are invaluable to how Marist play. Just watch out for them during this Legion Control Center run. Look at Tangs and look at Thunderkit and how they operate in this Marist team.
Yeah, Hanzo going to be pumping out the dragon here. Going to be finding 2. They definitely didn't see that coming, especially with the ML being broken that quickly. Finding a 3rd. And it does look like Canisius is going to be pushing in pretty quickly here to cap the point. And yeah, that was a really, really nice setup there and caught Marist off guard.
Yeah, good Dragon Strike. You know, Flickers look good. You saw the series special K as well. The DPS players from Canisius, you know, they've looked alright. They've got a couple of kills. I feel like Marist, though, I think they're giving a little bit too much respect. I just want to see a proactive playstyle them. I want to see no respect given to Canisius right now.
And I think you're seeing that right now, them pushing in with reckless abandon as Traders does end up capping with both supports. Yeah, and they're just shoving in now. I think that, yeah, they had enough. They didn't like what happened to him in that last one, as Taze is just going to, pressure him out. And we talked to him last week. They really talked about their communication in the interview with Taze, and it looked like they were all on the same page there.
Yeah, I mean, proactive playstyle, proactive, fast playstyle. That's what Marist are good at. And that team fight looked a lot more like Marist than what that first team fight did. Canisius had ultimates. They didn't even have a chance to even think about using those ultimates. Good play from Marist, but more the same in this next team fight. However, Canisius close to that Graviton Surge. Watch Upstate Stew in this next fight.
Graviton Surge could play a huge factor into how this team fight goes. Going to be an early immortality field. Going to be dropping the sound barrier, though, just to keep everyone protected from that Graviton Surge. Not going to find anything as it's turned right back on their heads. And, I mean, we keep saying productivity, and I know you love that word, but this is just more of understanding what the enemy team has and great ult tracking because they knew exactly what they wanted to do.
It was, right? They knew the Graviton Surge was going to come out. We've got Sound Barrier. We need to play more aggressive than them so that they can't get a good Graviton Surge off. They can't get their DPS into the fight. It's a good play from Marist. They've also got an Ant Matrix here. I would like to see an early one to try and zone out the tanks.
Shadow coming through. Going to be finding 3, and like 4 go down immediately. And yeah, Traders does get to eat onto Flick. And that was more desperation there at the end from the Hanzo. Can't really fault him too much there. But there it is. Marist capping first round. And they are looking strong.
I have to say, though, 29% from Canisius, probably better than what most expected, In that first team fight, they looked in it, they got a couple of kills. Special K got 2 on the Reaper. Flick has been getting some good kills on the Hanzo. Good Dragon Strike as well, which actually led to 29% on the point as well. So, some positive signs for Canisius, but as you can kind of see by the rest of that round as evidence, Marist have a really strong identity in EGF. They're very aggressive. They were very good in that last round, apart from the first couple of team fights, and Canisius really struggled to deal with that. What adaptations can they make? I actually like the one that they've just made. They're going to go over to a Sombra. Maybe you can try and hack up Taze, and I mean, Taze is the vocal part of that Marist team, so if you kind of try and take Taze out of the game, maybe that's an idea.
Yeah, and you almost think they might have thought the Doomfist was coming in, get a little bit more pressure on the Doom, but it doesn't look like it's going to be that way as Cloud and Face Mist kind of swap, and Cloud is now on the McCree and doing a ton of work. We saw Cloud do a ton of work last week, and that first team fight is decisive, not even giving him room to breathe. And to your credit, I mean, Canisius made the swaps, but doesn't seem like it's a lot as they're going back over to the Hanzo.
I mean, they didn't even get a hack off, did they, right? Like,
no.
They're now back onto the Hanzo. I feel like they look comfortable on this hero, at least. I guess that's a positive. Marist, they look comfortable. That's a good anti-grenade. Let's see if Canisius can do anything with it. Doesn't look like it.
Yeah, Canisius is in scramble mode right now as everything's falling apart around him on that engage. Wonderful job of just taking out the Hanzo and the Ana up top from Traders. Doing a really wonderful job, and that is a terrible time to be DMEC trying to run back. Will they jump off the map or they just swap? Well, it's pretty low percentage. They'll probably just... They're going to push it through. I like it. Oh, man. They're going to get... I bet they do get their mech back fairly quickly if they stand in the middle like that. But the High Noon going to be coming online. You already have Ant Matrix, so there's going to be a ton of damage poured through this small choke. Looks like they're trying to set it up right now, waiting for them to all to come out into the open, and there we go. Ant Matrix is going to come down, going to find the first pick. Ghost's going to be the unfortunate casualty, as it just looks like one right after the other, but Flick still finding those picks, the comfortable pick coming through, and maybe that gives them a chance to back it up and come back in at full strength with them missing Cloud.
Understand why Upstate Studio either jump off the map and reset and get their mech back, or go to spawn switch heroes, because that's the reason that Ghost died in that choke. They knew that defense matrix. It's poor decision making. I think That's another one of those small things that we're going to see in this series. There's going to be a gap between these two teams.
Yeah, and I like the confidence from Taze. Yes, Thunder does go down, but Taze just walking into the face of that Ant Matrix, not letting them use it very well. And the Shadow's going to come through to clean up the fight. And we are looking at 90%. That right there could be the last fight, unless we see some swaps come through or someone make a miracle touch. But Marist is giving no opportunity for that as they push in and push through. The bomb will end up winning them this round. That's Marist on a clean 2-0 right there.
Yeah, I mean, what we expected. Marist, very happy with how they're playing so far. This is what we're expecting. You know, we're expecting them to be a top team in EGF, and if you're going to be a top team in EGF, you need to go and beat these sort of teams convincingly. I think they've done that so far. They've kind of passed the test. They were good against Quinnipiac last week, apart from Hanamura, but they did make some roster switch-ups, and Cookie did have a good performance last week for Quinnipiac on Hanamura, which would probably explain that stuff. But Marist, for the most part of this season, I think I've counted 3 games of theirs now. Very proactive, very aggressive, very good. One of the contenders, I think, for EGFC this season. Very strong team so far.
Yeah, and one of the faster games we've seen at a game time total of 6-11, which is just speed running through. And, you know, right there, we saw the play of the game, and we saw Flick get quite a few picks. And I think that's where we can really start to see Canisius, close. They can really find their footing is taking Marist's confidence and turning it against them. They clearly were not ready for that dragon, and they clearly overstepped their bounds, and they did not respect, you know, that ultimate coming out and the positioning that they were in. So positioning that aggressively because they know they're the better team. I mean, I'm not saying that they can always do it, but those are some pitfalls that could befall Marist if they continue to play like that. But to your point, that's what we want to see them do. We want to see them up in their face, and we want to see them dominate and control the pace.
Yeah, that's what they're good at. That's 100% what they're good at. That's why Taze and Thunderkit are essentials for this roster. They control games. Taze can play every main tank on the Overwatch roster. Thunderkit can play most of the main supports, and they control the game beautifully. They controlled against Quinnipiac last week, and that's why we kind of highlighted controlling the game for Quinnipiac as a priority this week. They did better in that, and that's why they won that series. In this game, Canisius, no, I don't want to rule them out yet, but I am going to make a suggestion. I think that's the only way Canisius are going to win this, right? Or even get close to winning this, or at least making progress against Marist. And I think it's going to have to be off win conditions and ultimates. We only really saw them win a team fight off of a really strong Dragon Strike. Ultimates can be winners in Overwatch. Win conditions are extremely important. That could be a player or a hero. It could be ultimates or an ultimate combination. It could be a multitude of things. But if they can get set win conditions, for example, Graviton Surge plus Dragon Strike, Nano Blade, they can work on what is our win condition and using those win conditions effectively. They're going to start to see better team fights, better play, and better results. I think that's the first thing Canisius need to work on before they even think about working on tempo, control, compositions, identity, because realistically in that first map we didn't see a whole lot from them.
Yeah, we are going to see Ohm being swapped out for Volcool, and that's Emerald swapped out for Cloud as well. So Marist is probably also thinking that maybe they can afford to make some swaps, you know, get some experience in on this. But this is what I was talking about with, you know, them being, you know, a little bit overconfident, and that's where the pitfalls, like I said before, can come in. And Canisius is one of those teams that needs good punch counter punch, right? Marist is going to come in and whop you on the mouth, and you have to have a response. And based on what we saw from that one play, they can do it. Now it's like you said, consistency. You have to consistently do it. You can't just do it one team fight and then you're done. You have to do it team fight after team fight after team fight.
Yeah, I think it's also just general game knowledge as well. Like, Canisius is behind a lot of these teams in a lot of factors. And that's why we have to kind of start somewhere. And that's why I'm kind of suggesting win conditions is the first thing to look at. Because, I mean, I just want to go back to that one team fight on Lijiang Night Market where Upset Stu was playing the D.Va, had lost D.Va's mech, and before going into the next team fight, didn't elect to reset the mech. So they went into the next team fight without a very important cooldown in D.Va's defense matrix, which meant they had no defensive utility walking through the initial choke, and then playing against the amplification matrix, one of their players was doomed to die. Of course, it was Ghost on the Honor at the time, and those little decisions lose team fights, and it was a really poor decision from Canisius, and that's another area that they improve. General game knowledge. So maybe that's another thing. General game knowledge, win conditions, and I think that's only going to be solved through practice and more experience. So that's something I'm looking for from Canisius, not just today, but throughout the entire season.
And Canisius is looking for a little bit more of that neutral fight power with the Widow and the Hanzo. They're not, I mean, not a ton of ults you can combo with except for, you know, the Flux and the Dragon. But the Nano is going to come in big for life-saving and maybe some offensive plays, as we see a little bit of aggression here coming from Traders, but does open up the room and gives himself 2 picks there, 3 picks coming out, and Traders finds a kill on the Baby Diva as well as the res comes through, and Marist on an even more aggressive comp, pushing this pace really, really quickly, and it's tough for the double snipers as we do see the swap coming through from Special K and Flick. They recognized it right away as well.
Traders looks like one of these Diva players that's like really good at nullifying players and kind of disabling them, taking them out of the fight, as opposed to bringing their supports into the fight and kind of transporting their DPS to get better angles, those sort of things. Looks like Traders is going to be that sort of player, whereas Taze likes to do a lot of setup, and I can kind of see how this timeline's being built. I quite like this from Marist, and maybe that's why Tay stands out and is able to set so much tempos. Also, Traders' play on the Diva, just something I noticed there in that last team fight, and also why Traders lost their mech, because they were trying to do so many things and nullify so many players on Canisius.
Yeah, and I mean, look at it. They don't even get room to breathe. As soon as they drop down in transition, they find a pick, and then off the back of the res coming through with the lowered healing, they find even more picks, and they're putting a lot of requisite on to Mel, trying to, you know, keep the team fight alive. But even then, you saw off the respawns, Canisius is still trying to get people on the high ground. You have Taze, you have Traders. They're jumping on them even before they're ready. And that is what we're seeing from Marist right now. No space being given. And now the high ground is all theirs. And they have premium choice of when they want to go in. It is on Canisius to find a way to get an early pick in one of these fights or slow down the momentum. Because right now they are just rolling. And here comes the next engage. And Face Mist already has another pick. Ghost going down. Mercy just swapped to and is over. Yes, the Nano Boost is out, but the duplicate was also picked up, and the Flux is going to find another, and now it's just cleanup duty for the rest of Marist.
Yeah, Marist probably is going to win that team fight. They had the high ground, they had the ultimates to go and win that team fight, and also they had the right attitude going to that team fight. They made sure they used their ultimates early, because I think their ult tracking was good enough to know that Canisius had Nano Boost, which meant if they kind of waited too long and weren't as proactive as they normally are, Marist, they probably actually could have lost that team fight to a nice maybe Nano Boost on up Stits 2 or Flicker TV. I think that's pretty good discipline there from Marist going to that team fight. And now they have a Nano Boost of their own, and that could see them all the way through to the end of Hollywood.
Yeah, and right now it's looking like dire straits as both supports went down back to back, and now you see the main tank DPS are now falling, and the other DPS falling. It's just one domino effect after the other. No space, no breath, no breaks. That's what Marist is about right now. They are pushing this tempo. Now the spawn doors are a real thing. They might not be allowed out. Does look like they're going for some tricky stuff as we see Traders up on the soldier. They are going to peel back for him though, but Monkey there to follow up. I love the Diva Bomb going straight into the spawn. Get him by Nathan. How did that happen? Just splitting them off every which way you look. They are not this. This right here is a prime example of how to take control and set the tone, and they are doing it beautifully.
Yeah, they've got Primal, they've got Duplicate. I don't see a way that Canisius even get out of the spawn doors here. I mean, yeah, Flicker tried. 4 minutes 16 left on the time bank if we somehow go to additional rounds, extra innings of Hollywood, but I'd be very surprised. And, you know, with all Marist's quick tempo, I think it's time to slow the pace of the broadcast down. Just talk about, you know, Canisius, what do we expect from them this season? What sort of goals are we going to try and set for them? I think Canisius, right, we're not going to see them challenge a team like Marist. We're probably not even going to see them climb to even be a mid-table team. But what is a good goal for them is to get good competitive experience and learn some basic fundamentals of team play. You know, get a target caller, get a shot caller, you know, get better synergy with each other. If they can improve over the rest of the season, there's no reason why next season in EGF they can't be a mid-table team, for example. There's no reason why that can't happen, right? But they've got to learn the fundamentals. They've got to make sure they put the work in. And in this series so far, yeah, I know we've watched 2 maps of a series, but when I'm watching Canisius in this series, I don't really see an effort to improve or adjust. And that's a big concern of mine. They've just kind of been run over. Like even an approach of when they engage on us, we walk back. I mean that's an attempt to adjust, an attempt to learn. It kind of just feels like they're doing the same thing over and over again, expecting something different. I know Marist is a very good team. I know Marist is in control of the game. I know Marist is controlling the tempo, but I mean, try to mix up because Canisius are in a learning phase.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point to point out, right? Try to find what works for you and only accentuate that, right? Don't try to copy what other teams are doing. Just try to find yourself and what your team is good at. And that'll get you further than, just trying to copy whatever you think is good. But they are going to start it off with a big pick on Emerald, which is a very nice pick in itself, and they are running a little bit of the dive. So we'll see exactly how far they can get with that as we do see Marist jumping in on maybe a bit of an overstep, but Nathaniel is going to pick up that kill and then fall immediately after. But again, these are good trades right now, and I do think they favor Canisius quite a bit, especially in the fact of, they're not going to be getting back too quick, but you do need to somehow find an advantage in these fights. And right now, the 1-for-1 trades are not going to get it done enough in order for you to hold this oak. But that being said, they do have 1 tick. As we see Taze rolling in and out, just trying to stall out the point for the team, give them a chance to set back up. And here we go again as Traders finds Ghost, and that's full supports down for Canisius. And yeah, they're just doing a wonderful job of trading, but always finding an advantage, Marist is. But that being said, Canisius is showing signs of life and fighting hard.
We've seen from them. That's genuinely the best team fight we've seen from them. They committed onto a target. They were a little bit more aggressive. It was good. And I think that's probably the best time we've seen them pick a target and say, let's try and kill that target. That was good. That was better. That's a good fundamental to learn. Let's see if they can expand upon that in this next team fight and for the rest of this attack.
Yeah, they got a few ultimates to go through right now in both tank ults and both support ults up, with both DPS ults also coming online very, very soon. And we'll see who FaceMist wants to duplicate into. I imagine it would be the D.Va, but we'll see how they want to play that one. As Taze dropping mines first, they're going to see what that gets them. You do see Nathaniel dropping dangerously low, maybe going to go into the Primal Rage. No, not even going to pop it, but that's all right. They did find a pick on Emerald. So again, another eat from Traders, doing a wonderful job of predicting where these dragons are going to come from. And that's going to be Marist kind of cleaning up the fight. And I do like how Canisius didn't overall. They didn't even burn the Primal Rage trying to keep it going.
Just to see if they can come up with a plan with these ultimates now, right? You got attack visor, self-destruct. Self-destruct's not like too hard of an ultimate to plan around. Are we going to use the self-destruct for space? Or are we going to use the self-destruct for kills? If we're going to use it for kills, how are we going to set that up? Maybe attack visor, force out some cooldowns, and then use that self-destruct. Speaking of self-destructs, here comes a power drive self-destruct combination from Marist.
Yeah, and that's going to be full supports down. Flick getting that pick, but they're going to need to find way more than that in order to turn this around at all. And there, the cleanup kills coming through. Again, I do like that Nathaniel keeps going in and finding these picks, but it's 1-for-1 every time. And I must say, it just feels a little disjointed there. But again, to your point, let's see if they can find something done with these ultimates.
Yeah, I mean, that was a perfect example of how to set up a self-destruct. Let's see if Canisius can maybe kind of replicate it or try something similar.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah, there it is. It comes over the top, but Marist was pretty ready for it, but it does end up trading. Upstate is going to go down, and the duplicate comes out on the monkey. Not what I was expecting, but it is going to find immediate value. Special K coming in with a visor. I like how they're layering these ults. It is not going their way right now, as Marist is slowly stabilizing the fight. But my goodness, again, another good team fight for them, and showing, moderate improvement throughout, getting more and more picks as they take these fights.
Yeah, awesome. That was also another awesome team fight from them. 13 seconds left. I don't think Canisius are even going to get a touch here. I think that this map of Hollywood is done. But good improvements. We actually saw a good team fight plan there. We saw a self-destruct come over the top, burn out some cooldowns, and then we saw 2 kills from attack visor. Improvements there from Canisius, but Marist, they're still the stronger team. They're still the dominant force they were. They're going to continue that to finish off Hollywood.
Jumping over the mine. Hey, I tell you what, they got there, okay? And that's all that matters. They got the overtime to tick. But yeah, Marist is clearly the stronger team here. And the trap game, like I maybe thought from the first map, seeing some of that stuff, Not quite there, right? We're starting to see now that Marist has a firm grasp of what's going on. So, I mean, that's pretty clear now. But again, we look at it. These team fights in the next game coming up, that's what we're going to be looking for. How are you fighting back? Are you properly engaging the fight, starting the fight? You know, are you fighting back at all? That's what we're going to be looking for from Canisius. But you'll have to wait until after the break to find out. No, you said, well, we're not doing a break. We're going to keep on going. I'm sorry. I thought I heard break from the guy in my ear who you guys can't hear. Oh, well, then there you go. But anyway, for the next game, we are going to have to see if Canisius can find a way to get some of these team fights going a little bit more in their favor.
You know, that's good. You know, you may say, you know, they still got full health. They didn't even win a team fight on Hollywood, but we saw some improvement on some fundamentals, and that's where Canisius has to start. That's realistically where they are. I mean, you can't expect a team to instantly, you know, at least get a team fight against one of the strongest teams in the league, right? That's not going to happen. But I want to speak about Marist because last week and this week, they've done very professional jobs over weaker teams compared to them. They kept their same play style. They worked on executing different combinations. They've had a very professional performance in both of these matchups. And you know, these are college students, so they are quite young. You know, a lot of esports talent is. And it could be quite easy to lose your concentration, lose your focus, lose a bit of respect for your opponent. But Marist doesn't seem to have that problem. And that mentality and that sort of identity that they have, they keep trying to mold, even against these teams that are weaker than them, that makes me have a small suspicion that they could be challenging for titles at the end of the year. Very impressed by how they've been playing so far.
Actually, a really interesting point that that's an angle I didn't even think of the discipline it takes in quote unquote, you know, not as serious of games or maybe a little bit lower skill games where you don't lose your composure, you don't lose the basics and the fundamentals. Yeah, that's an interesting angle. And I do, yeah, wow. Yeah, I do think that is something that needs to be taken into account when looking at Marist now. Because you're right, in most of these fights, they're not doing anything fancy. They're not doing anything crazy. They're playing a strong team game, and they're dominating with it. And they are setting the pace and the tempo, and they're not doing any hero plays off on the side. They're not, you know, going off on solo adventures. So, yeah, I do think, you know what, you convinced me. I think Marist might be there at the end, at least in the top two. For sure.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. Just mentality. I've been very impressed with over the past 2 weeks. Good control of the game as well. Something you definitely don't see from too many collegiate teams. And tempo-wise as well. I'm very happy that they have a good identity. And one thing I also want to note, traders, you know, tonight, you know, a lot of people may say, you know, like Divas, you know, off on the side adventures. That's traders' play style. Traders loves to take players out of the game. Traders loves to play a little bit more aggressive and try and make things happen. That's their off-tank style. There are different off-tanks who will, you know, focus on getting their supports into the team fight. I mean, maybe something that's traders who's not even in the lineup for this last map we'll have to do later on when we get further into the competition. But it's just a note that traders does play that more aggressive play style, does try to set up those sort of plays. We saw, for example, a really awesome play with Taze's pile drive on the wrecking ball with the self-destruct from traders. That was pretty cool. We don't really see too much of that, but it was nice to see there on Hollywood that, you know, traders, you know, even against weaker teams, is still playing the way traders plays.
Yeah, and we see both DPS. I mean, Emerald was in on the last game, but now another sub comes in. Kane is also in as well. And then you have Andrew in on the off tanks for traders. So, you know, we'll get to see what they're all about. I do think we saw Kane in our last series as well against Winnipeg on the Hanamura, but I'd have to go back and double check that. But again, all of these, you know, players are of high caliber, right? They all know what they're doing, which is obviously the reason they're on the team. So we get to see Kane on the Echo, obviously coming out, poking a little bit at first. But I do like the Bastion setup. I'd be remiss not to mention it. Bastion is out on the field, ready to sentry turret it up. And we do see the protection there, right? You got the crossfire set up from Ghost. I love that. And now we're going to see if the off angle is going to bear fruit. As it looks like Ghost is going to have to back out because the rotation is coming through. Pre-fires are in. And we do have a little 1v1 on the backside as Envolt's looking to find that sneaky Magoo strategy of coming up on the backside. I'm not quite sure exactly how Taze wants to approach this. It does look like he's just going to go in, and they are going to find the kill on Melly. And that's going to be the bunker broken as they just go in, and the crossfire setup was just taken apart. And honestly, what else can you expect from Marist? I love the setup from Canisius, though. That was super fun to see them reacting to the rotations and, you know, doing their best to hold the bunker down.
You know, really awesome setup there. You have your Tracer on the side. We actually talked about Quinnipiac's setup being a lot better. This is just something we expect from Marist, right? You know, that was a really awesome setup. They see the passion strategy. They don't panic. They don't, you know, go instantly aggressive. They set it up, and once the team fight happens, it's extremely aggressive, right? But they set it up first. They make sure it's calculated. It's a good approach. I think they're going to do the same here, while they're going to try and build up Minefield and Transcendence, and then it's going to be a super crazy engagement here from Taze and Emerald on the left-hand side.
Yeah, the setup is where it's at, and here they go. The initiation has started. Pile drivers in. Do they drop mines on point just to really stall, or just to really prevent them from dropping down? And they do. Melly is going to find the DMEC, but they do end up trading that kill out. The res is going to come through. They're going to suck him back, but the point has already gotten a tick on it. And now the mines, Kane coming in and is just cleaning up these kills. The tanks are making so many plays. Duplicate is also in. Now there's 2 Bastions on the field. Only one now. The duplicated Bastion is the Bastion that reigns supreme. And that's going to be Marist with a 453 in the time bank. And honestly, with the setups and execution that we saw, I mean, I'm not even that surprised. I don't know about you.
Setup was good. The execution was good. We haven't really talked about execution too much in the 2 weeks we've been casting these games. We casted Marist last week. We casted Quinnipiac last week. The setup, so and the tempo we've been talking about a lot, but execution-wise, your setup can be as good as you want, but if you don't execute it properly, then of course it's going to fall flat. Marist today have had really good execution, like they have last week as well, and it's been very, very impressive. I just want to note one thing: Canisius, as we did say, making a lot of role changes. If this was anyone but Canisius, I would be I would point to that and say we shouldn't be doing that. It's not exactly something we should be doing in a series, but this is Canisius. They're experimenting. They're trying to find out who they are as a team and what the fundamentals of the game are. And I think that this is acceptable for them. I think any other team with Marist, for example, with Taze on DPS, I would be having lots of question marks about how Marist were taking this series. Also want to note it, also again, Marist, the entire series, Taze on main tank, Thunderkit on main support, they stay in the entire series. The rest of the roster gets shuffled around. And the reason is because those two are pivotal to how Marist play. And that's why we see them two in the lineup constantly. I like the fact that they don't change their main tank, they don't change their main support, because those are the two people that control who you're engaging on, what the tempo of the game is, keep control of the game, and that's exactly why Marist are such a good team.
And now we get to see how Marist deal with this teleporter strat off on the left-hand side. I do assume they'll get it off, and they do. So now they are making that rotation over. And Marist might see it coming. They do look like they've scouted some of it out. And now we're going to see how they handle it. And for Canisius, I do like the fact that they're trying these things, right? They're trying to rotate. They're trying to get it done. And it looks like they're doing a little bit more than that as they're putting damage down on Taze. Has to pop it early, but Special K is just run over in the backline, and Taze finds the 2 kills there. Oh, it's always so funny to see a rollaway kill as K cleans that up. And it's just a little bit of a brawl now for Nathaniel, trying to find a cleanup kill, but isn't going to get it done. And, I like that setup, and I like what they're doing as far as, rotating and role swapping. They are still a program that's building up, trying to find themselves, as you said. This has been fun to watch so far, and them, slowly learning throughout.
Exactly. Marist, I like the fact that they're respecting them. They're playing the team fights as they were against any other team. They're on minefield for the next team fight. It's going to be interesting to see if Canisius can maybe ult-track and know that minefield and maybe the post are going to be aligned, knowing that, the more damage you do in Overwatch, the more value you get, the more close you're going to be to your ultimate. I wonder if they're going to be able to prepare for that post-ball on minefield.
Yeah, and that might have been, right there, a little bit of miscommunication from Marist, as Kane, I don't think anyone told him where that teleporter was going to go. Put him a little bit on the back foot. Obviously, the mines come out, gonna create a lot of space in that little room. Maybe even a tick comes through. Looks like they're just gonna kind of mess with the flick a little bit. But yeah, that teleporter was actually a really solid idea, and Marist didn't handle that as best as they could. But you're right, they're respecting them. They're letting them try their things, and they're not just spawn camping doors or playing willy-nilly. They are treating it as serious gets, and I'm loving that.
So I really like Andrew's Diva skin, underutilized. It's the Celestial Diva skin, I believe. Very nice. Just wanted to note that. Marist again, loads of ultimates, a big ultimate advantage for this next team fight. Canisius, yeah, they have their support ultimates, but I'm not sure how much they could do with them.
Canisius is just going to go straight to point. I love the bunker setup. Will the immortality field save them? Looks like they're going to use the shield. It does. Maybe they did throw the emo down, but they did pick up a pick on Andrew. So the advantage now into Canisius's favor. As I say that, Emerald does find a pick, and Kane finds the next one. So their Moira and Symmetra are going to be out of this one, but Melly trying to do their best on the Bastion, pick up another kill. They are even. It's 4-4 right now. Still looking as they get a tick. Can they find that second tick? That would be really big for them in order to pick up the last tick and maybe one of these final team fights, as they are going to clean up this fight. Bastion pumping out the damage though. Some of the members falling dangerously low as Andrew dropping below 3/4's health. But in the end, it is going to be Marist being able to hold strong, but a dangerous fight there.
It ticked up. I thought the Canisius played around their positioning well. They bunkered up around a mini health pack. They play well against the self-destruct. You know, that's are little small improvements over the course of the series, and these small steps will improve them in the future.
Canisius is doing a great job playing with their teleporter right, testing different areas, seeing what's weak. And I do expect something similar to what they just did, and as they are trying to push through. They didn't break the teleporter, but they do find the pick, and I think the teleporter is what they were going for, as the mines in preparation for the teleportation is taken. It looks like the DMEC is going to come through, but no, Ghost launches it in the air. Cannot find anything. Not quite. Canisius in their fight for their lives right now and trying to keep this series alive. It is just going to be Ghost. Ghost goes down. Can anyone get the last touch here? They're pushing forward, not trying to let him. Moira not going to get the touch as Thunder shuts that down with the Brigitte whip. That right there is how you close down a match.
There's a nice bulk at the end. Nice little whip shot from Thunder Kit. Gets part of the game as well. Little small fundamental improvements from Canisius. I think that's what we're going to expect from this season. Maybe another win on the board as like another goal for Canisius. Marist, though, very impressed with their performance against today. I was impressed with them last week. I've been impressed with them every time I watch them this season. They have a strong identity. They have a strong play style. They have a small advantage on other teams with how concentrated they are, how determined they are, and how professional they are. And I really, really do respect that.
Marist did a wonderful job of treating every single game seriously, every single map. That was wonderful to see. And for Canisius, I mean, well played, honestly. I mean, you were going up against massive competition. From my point of view, and I think Ocean's point of view, we've got a top 3 team here for sure that you're going up against. And to have a showing like that, it's not what you want. Obviously, every team wants to walk away with a win. But in all realism, like that, or in all reality, that was, I think, the best that you could have asked for. And especially in the final one where they swapped everybody around, trying to find exactly what they're going to do as far as, how they want to play the rest of the map. That's kind of what you got to expect. But we are going to have Taze in here for the interview from Marist, coming back from last week's interview. Can't wait to catch up with him, see how the team's doing, see exactly what, some of the progressions they've made throughout the week. But we'll have to catch up on that when we come back. And thank you for joining us back here. We have Taze from Marist stopping in for the interview as promised. And Taze, I mean, actions speak louder than words, and you guys took it to him. Tell me about today. Preparation. What it was like going up against Canisius. Just give me a little bit of insight.
Um, it was the same approach that we take essentially every week. We VOD what we feel like we're struggling on, and then we go into scrims trying to make sure we work on that. And then when it comes to game day, we try to get on early to make sure that we are warming up, getting ready, warming up our comms and our mechanics. And once the game starts, we just dial in and focus up on the game.
Good. Yeah, you guys definitely had the focus today. But looking at some of your guys' swaps today, you had Emerald come in, Kane, Andrew. Tell me about when those decisions come in. Do you guys have them for certain maps? Is it just the flow of the match? Like, is that prepared, or do you guys just kind of do that whenever you're feeling it?
It's a little bit of both. We have certain people on certain maps, and but we also make sure that if we feel like we can make a substitute that can be valuable, we'll take it. And that's you see that every week. We'll sub how we feel is necessary.
Yeah, I'm gonna let
Alright.
Ocean. I'm gonna give you in the strong hands of Ocean here.
Alright, okay. So I was looking at the rest of your schedule. You already have now an 8-1 record, right? Looking in a pretty good place, to get a really good sounding at the end of the season. Look at the rest of your schedule. You've got probably 2 games that stand out to me. It's St. John's and William Mary. And I know you said you approach every game the same. They actually play after this. Is that game something that interests you because it will affect your season later on down the line?
Yeah, we always either watch the games after us or watch VOD later just to see if we see anything specific that we want to take advantage of, or like, oh, this team is doing much better than we thought they were going to do, or this team is underperforming. We decide based off of that. So obviously, next game we'll probably watch, see how both of those teams perform because they're probably going to be our toughest competition, like you mentioned, and we're really hoping to pull out a win against them.
Awesome, right. So the rest of the season as well, pretty good schedule, already pretty good results so far. I want to ask you, not just goals for your team in a sense of, you've got, but what are like improvements for the rest of the season do you want to make? Do you have an eye for the title? Do you want to be the best main tank player? So individually and for your team, tell me some little goals that you have because you're already going to be probably a top 5, top 6 team. How far can this Marist team go?
Well, personally, I already feel like I'm the best main tank in Mac, so I feel like I've already hit that level. EGF is a little different. I feel like I'm definitely one of the top main tanks as well. But when it's talking about titles, I really believe we can. I believe we can win Mac, and I feel like we can be a heavy competitor for the overall tournament.
Awesome. Good answer. I actually believe that as well. Well played today. I loved the professional performance. I'm going to pass you on back over to prepaid.
Yeah, thanks, Taze, for being here. I super appreciate you guys taking the time. Interviews are always awesome. Is there anybody you want to shout out real quick before we let you go?
Um, Always, I'd like to thank my family and friends. They've always supported me. Even back my freshman year when I told them I was going to compete with in video games competitively. I know that's a little bit of a are you sure about that? But they are always super supportive, and I'm glad that we can perform for them.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for stopping in, and we
Thank you for
appreciate you
having me.
being here. Yep. Well, we had another great week, Ocean, me and you, and obviously we will be back every week for the rest of time, or at least until this season ends. So I can't wait to see you next week. But in the meantime, we do still have more games coming up. We have RIT versus Villanova on the official EGF channel. We also have Sierra versus St. Peter's on the official EGF2. But for now, we are going to relieve ourselves and let Sir Waltham and Twin Salty take over for us on the flip side. But we will catch you back here next week, same place, same time. Thanks, everyone.